Assalamu alaikum, I'm Munib Ali. Welcome to another video on the Qur'an study channel. Today we're going to be studying the word sabr. It is often translated to mean patience or to endure something patiently. And we're going to look at how the Qur'an defines this word. And I think a number of us may be surprised by the way Allah defines sabr, because it may be almost opposite of what people might generally understand to be its meaning. So it's going to be a really interesting study, so watch this all the way to the end. And one other important thing in this video you will find, as you know, I've said many times in our videos that the Qur'an defines, describes, explains the meanings of its words itself. And we'll use today's study to see how Allah Himself has given a dictionary of the Quranic terms in the Qur'an. So it's going to be really interesting. So let's start. So, what is commonly understood to be the meaning of sabr? What do you understand to be the meaning of sabr? Let me know while you're watching this in the comment section. What I sometimes understood sabr to mean is to endure patiently. So if there has been some bad news, a tragic event, something which has affected me personally or others personally, people advise them to have sabr. They pray for sabr. They pray that they can come to terms with a bad event, a negative event, like somebody's death in the family, or a bad result in exams, or having lost a job, something negative, and people then pray, they do dua for people, for those individuals to have sabr, to be patient, to endure and accept that matter and to move on. They pray for them to move on. At least that's the way I used to understand sabr. Let me know if you agree in the comments. And indeed, if we look at some of the translations, the English translations of the Qur'an, many translators, when they see the word sabr in the Qur'an, they use the translation patiently endure. Endure, you see, so it's about accepting some form of suffering. We are going to see today how the Qur'an defines sabr. And once we see how the Qur'an defines sabr, perhaps it may challenge your mentality about how you think about things, about your life. It could be quite transformative. So let's begin the study. We're going to start with looking at Surah Hud, which is chapter 11, verses 9 to 11. Here, and I'll just read the translation first, Allah says, "If we give people a taste of our mercy, then take it away from them, they become utterly desperate, ungrateful. But if we give them a taste of prosperity, after being touched with adversity, they say, 'My ills are gone,' and become totally prideful and boastful, except those who," now look at this translation, "patiently endure and do righteous deeds. It is they who will have forgiveness and a mighty reward." So this is a translation, this is an English translation which I picked up. I will put in the comment section whose translation this is, but there are many who will translate it in this way. The word we're looking at here is sabaru. And like I said, it's been translated as patiently endure. So it's accepting some form of suffering. But is this really the correct translation? Does this make sense? Let's move on and have a look. The next bit here is very important. Bear this in mind. Allah says, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and do righteous deeds. So Allah's talking about those who do righteous deeds. except those who do sabru and وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Okay, bear that in mind. Let's have a look at another verse in the same chapter, Surah Hud, chapter 11, verse 49. Here Allah says, "That is from the news of the unseen which we revealed to you. You knew it not, neither you nor your people before this. So be patient. Indeed, the outcome is for the muttaqeen." The word here is fasbir. Be patient. Fasbir. Okay, the translation is be patient. But look at the next bit here. Again, very important. Innal aqibata lil muttaqeen. Allah is talking about the muttaqeen. A positive outcome, the outcome, is for the muttaqeen. And we have done various study sessions where we have described, where we have defined from the Qur'an what muttaqeen means. And you can have a look at some of our previous videos on our YouTube channel to understand what this word means. But to summarize, muttaqeen are those who stay within the bounds set by God. They do not deviate from the path that has been prescribed by God. They refrain from bad and do good. Those are the muttaqeen. They're staying within the bounds set by God and they're staying on the straight path that God has described in the Qur'an. Okay, so bear that in mind. Let's move on to another verse. Have a look at another one. Here, again the same chapter, verse 115, Allah says, "And be patient, wasbir," again. "For indeed, Allah does not allow to be lost the reward of the muhsineen." So here, wasbir, be patient, and ajral muhsineen. Who are the muhsineen? Again, we've done various studies into this word before. Do go back to our YouTube channel and have a look at the videos which describe these very important terms. But in summary, muhsineen are those who do good, who act well, who act or behave with goodness or in a pleasing manner. And this is really important. They make good any deficiencies in others and in society. So they're looking out to see where people have deficiencies and they need help. They're servicing others. Muhsineen serve others. They act to bring proportion and balance to others in society. So where they see disbalance, they balance it. Again, I'm not going into the detail in today's study, but can you see Allah has used various terms straight after the word sabr to try and describe to us what He means by it. Amilu salihati, muttaqeen, muhsineen. So this is all going to come together in just a moment. Let's move on a little bit more. Let's have a look at another verse. This is now Surah Ar-Ra'd, chapter 13, verse 22. And those who are patient, here, sabru, and those who are patient, seeking the face of their Lord, and establish salat. Okay, establish salat. Now, I'm not going to be describing in this video what salat means. We will do that separately. But we see here, Allah is saying that those who do sabru are those who establish salat. أَنْفَقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ سِرًّا وَعَلَانِيَةً. And this is also very important. And spend from what we have provided for them secretly and publicly. So they're spending on others, again servicing, and is more. And repel evil with good. Those will have the final attainment of the home. So again, after using the word sabru, Allah has described what He means. Now if that still doesn't make it very clear, have a look at this next one. Here, Allah says, and how many a prophet fought along with God's devotees, but they never lost heart for what befell them in the way of Allah, nor did they weaken or give in, and Allah loves the SABReen. Here Allah has given in this verse the definition of sabirin. Sabirin being those who do sabr. Okay? Look at this. How many people fought along with God's devotees? Fought. It's a positive action. They fought, they struggled, they strived. And they never lost heart. They never ever lost heart. They kept going. They kept striving, struggling in the way of God. They never lost heart for what befell them in the way of Allah, nor did they weaken or give in. They never gave up. They kept going. They persevered. Allah loves those. They are the sabirin, those who are continually striving in the way of God, those who are persevering. It is an active word. To do sabr is not to endure the suffering and try and come to terms with it and accepting it. No. Allah is saying that sabirin are those who are persevering. They continue to struggle in God's path. Can you see how one is a negative connotation? Enduring patiently is a very negative, passive connotation, versus the way Allah has described and defined sabr, which is active. There's action involved. Passive, active. So now let's bring it together. So what have we learnt about how Allah defines sabr? Allah says in the Qur'an, as we have seen, sabr or sabirin are those who do amal saleh. They do righteous deeds. We've done an entire video, or in fact many videos, but we've looked at how Allah defines in the Qur'an righteous deeds, what righteous deeds are. Those who are muttaqeen, they do not deviate from Allah's path, they stay on it. They continue to act and stay on the path of Allah. Those who are muhsineen, they act to bring proportion and balance to others in society. Where they see inequality, they act to bring equality. Where they see somebody is suffering, they helped to alleviate the suffering. Sabirin are those who establish salat. Salat will be defined in a later video from the Qur'an itself. Those who spend from what God has provided them, they're actively spending. When God provides something, they are spending. And that includes your wealth, that includes your wisdom, your knowledge, everything that God gives you. Sabirin, those who are doing sabr, are those who are spending on others. As muhsineen, as muttaqeen, doing amal saleh. Allah says, as we've seen, the sabirin are those who repel evil with good. When they see evil in society, whether that's afflicting them or somebody else, they do good. Allah is saying here that good repels evil. So you're actively doing good to repel the evil that you see around you. That is sabr. We've seen that Allah says sabr is when you fight and you struggle in the way of Allah. You're striving to bring the path of Allah in front of everybody, and you are not deviating from it yourself. Sabr is when you never lose heart. You do not weaken in your fight, in your struggle, in your striving. You are persevering. You do not give in. That is sabr, not giving in. Continuing on that path is sabr. So, as we have seen, whereas many people translate sabr to mean endure patiently, the Qur'anic definition of this word does not support this. This is wrong. Sabr does not mean endure patiently. What we have seen, a better translation of the word sabr in the Qur'an would be to persevere, to be constant, to continuously strive. That would be a better translation of this word according to the Qur'an itself. So now you might say, well, why is this important? Isn't that just a very subtle difference? Well, this is really important to understand because it influences mindset. One definition of sabr, which was to endure patiently, to accept your suffering, is very passive. That sort of mindset leads to a passive community that is convinced that if we are experiencing suffering in this world, it is by design, and that is what is required, and that is what we must accept to achieve the promised land, to achieve the promises made by God. It's enduring patiently. That is a particular mindset. The other mindset is much more active. It's making a difference to society, to this world, to ourselves. And it leaves the next generation to make a further difference, and then so on and so on. It's a very different mindset, and therefore understanding the definition, the true meaning of the word sabr in the Qur'an is really important. Now I leave it to you to think about, to reflect on where you feel generally the so-called Muslim community is. Is it in the passive mindset? Or is it in the active, doing good mindset? Which mindset are we taught? I will leave that for you to reflect on. And let me know what you think about that in the comments. Also, it may be that the way I used to understand sabr from the traditional translations I used to read before I really got into studying the Qur'an properly, before I started to see how Allah Himself defines important terms in the Qur'an, I used to think that sabr was in the passive mindset area. Let me know whether you've always thought of that as well, or whether you always knew and understood sabr to be active perseverance, to be constant, to strive. So I hope that was a useful short study of what is quite an important word used in the Qur'an. Don't forget to like this video if you found this interesting or useful, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have many ongoing study videos being posted about the Qur'an. And I will see you next week inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن